It's your voice. If you don't, you gave up your choice. The world's direction is in your hands. You can't complain if you don't take a stand. Show up to the polls and let them know who's in control. Show up to the polls and let them know who's in control. Divided we fall, united we slay. This is our call. Divas for Democracy.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me and my very special guests. They are two of Broadway's favorite leading ladies. You know them from such musicals as Come From Away and Beautiful. And this coming Sunday night, October 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, they will be a part of the star-studded Divas for Democracy, United We Slay, where the divas of Broadway join the forces of the divas of drag. Please say hello to my dear friends, Jenn Colella and Chilina Kennedy.
Hello! And Stella Colella.
Who are you holding?
This is Stella Colella.
Oh my gosh, look at this. So beautiful.
She's new. She's new to the family.
She's making some noise.
Yeah, so we wanted to add her to the interview.
Introduce her to BroadwayWorld. This is how we do it here.
Yeah, she's a diva too, so she belongs.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you two. I cannot tell you.
Likewise.
So happy to see you.
Likewise, love. It's good to see your face.
And we are checking out your Wi-Fi and what you're zhuzhing here. Look at you two.
A little home studio.
That's right.
You are turning out that home studio.
Thank you.
You
Thank
got
you.
to in these times, right?
I know, this is crazy. First of all, how are the two of you and where are the two of you?
Well, we're in Stratford, Ontario, Canada for the future. And, you know, I've owned a home here for 11 years. And so we decided to come here. It's an incredible artistic community and lots of friends, lots of, you know, great stuff happening. And it's just sweet people, really good people taking care of each other here.
So you've been there since the very beginning of this pandemic?
We got here just under the wire. We left mid-March. We got here moments before the border closed.
Yeah.
First we were in Kingston, and then we've been in Stratford for several months now. I mean, it's all time. I don't know. Somebody the other day was like, have a good weekend. I was like, what?
Weekend?
If I didn't have structure in my life, I'm the same way like you. Someone said, oh, it was Columbus Day the other day. I'm like, it could be Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
Well, it's funny because we just celebrated Canadian Thanksgiving, right? The other day too. So
they have Thanksgiving here was just last Monday.
And I've been used to being in New York for the last 5 years, so my calendar's all, I don't know.
Oh, I love it. So what is Canadian Thanksgiving like? Do you eat turkey?
Oh, yes, all the same things.
It's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
I was happy to learn. Turkey, stuffing, potatoes, right down to the pumpkin pie. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So did you all cook from the early part of the day and make all this stuff?
Oh, yeah. We had a...
Not me.
Not me.
We had a little, you know, potluck situation going on.
Yeah, but tell me what you made. Your stuff was amazing.
Listen, I don't know. It was my first time making stuffing, and it's a bit of a family tradition, so there's pressure. But I did manage to pull off my mother's oyster dressing. It's sort of famous in our family, so I did it.
Stuffing is the toughest thing to make because everyone's like, oh, it's too dry. It doesn't taste like mom's. It's not like this. Stuff. It's not about the bird or anything else. It's all about the stuffing, right?
She goes, here's the recipe, but normally I just throw this amount in. I'm like, I don't know how to even begin.
You rocked it. It was delicious.
Thank you. You're sweet.
That is amazing. Well, you know, it has been over 6 months since the New York theater shut down. Like you said, I used to give a day number, but I'm like, we're going into 7 months. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's totally nuts.
It's a weird feeling, man. It's a weird feeling. I'm still very connected to the Come From Away cast. We have a text thread. I was texting with them today. We have 2 meetings a week, sometimes 3 Zoom meetings.
I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm on with Come From Away. I'm like, again, they're so tight. It's really sweet. I've never seen anything like it.
We're just looking out for each other. It's awesome. You know, it's really sweet. It's such a family. So I'm super grateful.
That is great. Well, I was going to ask the two of you, what has amazed you both the most and what has frustrated you both the most during this pandemic?
Well, I don't know. I think probably for me, my answer would probably be the same thing. What I've been so impressed with has been the way we've taken care of each other, and the thing I've been most frustrated with is the lack of care that we've taken. So in some ways, there's a lot of care that we're, just that are.
You don't mean us.
I don't mean us. I mean governments, societies. You know what I mean?
Just right into the relationship.
No. I mean, like I drove into Toronto the other day, and the homeless population and how many people are without right now, but also how well my specific community has taken care of us and me and my son, and how well so I think it's both. I see a lot of need out there, but also a lot of people trying hard and being very generous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jen, for you.
I've been enjoying the downtime, like not having to perform.
Yeah.
It has felt quite lovely. And it's, I think, only lovely because no one else is doing it either.
Yeah.
If I were not performing and other people were, I'd be like, what's everybody doing over there? But to have a chance to slow down and to just really kind of take a look at some of the things that may not have been serving me to my highest self, and taking a look at like what I may have been running from with my busyness and all my stuff has been pretty valuable. I think Chilina's right. I think it's beautiful to see how people are taking care of one another.
Sure.
I really enjoy that aspect as well. Stella has been a huge bonus.
Yeah.
Huge bonus to this whole thing. What's frustrating is, quite honestly, the way that the government is not supporting the people. That's just been really tough, and tough to watch from over here, from in Canada. So that's part of the reason why I want to get involved, why we agreed to Divas for Democracy. We're trying to do everything we can to lend our voices, do anything to help let people know that they are not alone, because I don't feel like the government is doing the best job of that right now.
Because before we get into the concert, the election is only a few weeks away, and we have people watching all around the world this interview today. Would you just mention how important it is to register and vote, and what is at stake with this election?
Yeah, it is. And I think everybody kind of knows that right now, but to hear it again from someone who cares about all human beings, it's important to register to vote, because it is your right to speak up about how you would like to be treated. You get a voice, especially for women and minorities. We fought so hard for this right. To not exercise it now would be doing a great disservice to yourself and to your fellow humankind.
Chilina, for you.
Well, it's interesting being on this side of it, because I'm a Canadian and I'm a resident of New York, but of course I don't get to vote in the States. Yeah. And so I guess for me, I wish I could. And so I just, encourage everybody everywhere to vote always, but especially now. I think this is an important one. So people go out and vote for those of us who can't.
Well, listen, let's talk about Sunday night. So how incredible. Let's talk about what it is first.
Yes.
I love. So it's called Divas for Democracy, United We Slay. What a lineup. When you look at that trailer, it is like the best of Broadway and just the entertainment world matched up with the goddesses of drag.
Yeah, it's going to be, we couldn't even believe our luck that we were included.
Oh, yeah.
We couldn't believe we get to sing I Will Never Leave You. Sideshow.
I mean, come on.
And our drag queen partners are Pixie Aventura and Marty Gold Cummings. Yes. So we couldn't be more honored. I really feel like I've made it. Like once a drag queen lip syncs to something you're singing,
forget
you made it. That's it. That is the mark.
Well, and I love Marty. I'm a huge fan of Marty's, and so I think it's so sweet that we end up being paired, with him. I just think the world of what he's doing.
Yeah. So how did this all come about for you to get involved? Like, who brought this to you?
I am dear friends with Stephen Oremus and his partner Justin Bohan. Justin is one of the lead producers on this, and Stephen obviously was the musical director, and he's so brilliant. Yeah. He's so brilliant. He is so tuned in to every specific everything. I mean, we had to redo it. We had to, you know, it was awesome. Like, he was on it. Usually we're like banging out and be like, there you are. He was like, well, we need to work on this. And I was like, yes, he's going to make it so good.
I gotta tell you too, you know, something about this time period, right, is everybody is a technician nowadays, right? Because we're doing all of these things and you've got to be so on top of it. So at one point, I think I was hooked up to like 3 different devices. Jen recorded first, and then I wanted to match her. So I had one earphone here connected to one device and another earphone connected to a different device. And then I had a microphone and I was trying to line everything up. It was wild.
It's wild.
But it was fun.
And totally worth it. We got a little sneak peek of what it's going to be. And hold on to your hats. Hold on to your hats.
The whole night's going to be fantastic.
Well, let's talk about the importance of this event, what it means to you, and what it's going to say to the world, and what it's going to do.
Yeah, well, so like 1 in 5 LGBTQIA people are not registered to vote. So like there's like 100 million people in our community that did not vote in the 2016 election. That's a huge number.
Yeah.
Like both of those numbers are kind of staggering. So like we're coming together to entertain, to engage folks, to inspire them to get involved.
Yeah, most importantly, to galvanize, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
We want to let our community know that we have a huge voice. And if we all join together and we use it, we can get the outcome that we want.
You know, it's really interesting. I've been looking at all these numbers of people who aren't registered, and I was trying to figure out why they weren't registered. But it's much easier now to get registered and vote, isn't it?
It's super easy. Vote.org is a wonderful organization. They make it super easy. They walk you through all the steps, no matter where you are. I really, really enjoy them very, very much. They've been super, just on the forefront of helping people get registered. And then isn't it amazing to see all of the Broadway people, the community coming together to help get the word out that we need to vote, and helping people vote, and doing phone banks, and it's been extraordinary. I'm just so proud of our community and what we've done.
Yeah, I have to say I agree. I think our community is one of the most resilient groups of people that I have ever met. I just want to throw that out there.
It's true.
How we dealt with the pandemic, like all of it. I think that the way that people mobilize is astounding.
I agree.
Well, I think it's because you're an artist, and you know, your careers are always changing from project to project. So you're always adapting. You've always adapted to whatever situation. So I think it's easier for an artist to adapt. Don't you agree with that?
That's a good point.
We're used to it, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. You're exactly right. Some of our friends who aren't artists have been like, oh my gosh, you're unemployed. You don't know where your next job is coming from. How's that feel? I'm like life, like my entire career. You know,
yeah.
I mean,
not on such a scale. I mean, it's unprecedented that everything has been canceled and that sort of so many people are just out of work. But yeah, we are adaptable. You know.
Yeah. I also want to talk about tickets to this event, because what I love about this, you could probably tell us about that, and I'll add into this. I mean, it costs nothing to go on to this Divas for Democracy. It's like donate what you can, right?
Well, that's part of the thing. Yeah. Go ahead.
No. Well, I know you can get them I'm just looking at the website here, divasfordemocracy.com. Yeah. That's important.
And it's a one-night only event. That's also important to remind everyone about.
And it's a minimum $5 donation, which I think is incredible. I mean,
because it's not about making money. It's about just getting our community together and celebrating and galvanizing. Like
it's the price of a coffee, or less than a glass of wine. It's just great.
No, because when I saw all that, it's truly a minimum of $5. Anybody can keep tipping donations all during this show. And believe me, from the clips that I've seen there, it's like, I've got all my money ready with my credit card to go on Sunday night. I love the pairings. I mean, I'm going through this list of, it's like Get Out and Stay Out from 9 to 5 is Stephanie J. Block and Nina West.
I cannot wait.
Can you stand it?
Now, I'm obsessed. I've always been obsessed with Stephanie, and I fell madly in love with Nina West on RuPaul's Drag Race. So, I mean, I love the combinations of what they have done. I mean, Defying Gravity is Shoshana Bean and Brooklyn Heights. I mean, these are all my favorite drags that I came to RuPaul's Drag Race late. I didn't watch the first few years. I don't know why. So were you fans early on?
I wasn't. I've only seen a couple of episodes. Friends were like, you have to watch. You have to see this. But it's all there waiting for me. Like I should just jump in and watch the whole thing. Have you seen all of them, Richie?
We have binge watched every single season, but I think I came in at like season 9, and I was like, what have you been missing all this entire time? But during this shutdown, it's like, let's just binge watch this season. Let's binge watch that season.
I've never binge watched anything. Can you believe it?
Well, what's great about what he's done is, you know, he's put a face on all these incredible people and this community.
That's right.
And brought all these people together. So now to combine Broadway with like the star drags or whatever. Another number is some people is Beth Level and Jinx Monsoon.
Get out of here.
Jinx Monsoon is just like, I call her one of the vintage drags. She's like out of the 30s movies or whatever. She's incredible when you see some of these people. Then we have like Rainbow High with Valentina and Eden Espinosa. I mean, the combos of that. Raise Your Voice is the full company from Sister Act. Don't Rain on My Parade from Funny Girls, Nikki M. James and Britta Filter. And I love their names to begin with.
Britta Filter.
Britta Filter.
Yeah.
Somewhere Over the Rainbow is Leia Salonga and Our Lady J. I mean, This Is Me is Keala Settle and the whole entire company. And Keala's going to be with me live tomorrow at Broadway World. I've got her tomorrow. And then Cell Block Tango from Chicago. It's Cheetah Rivera, but recreating her Velma alongside the current cast of the Chicago Murderesses and their drag counterparts. I mean, how brilliant is this?
I know. Get your drinks ready, folks. Get ready. It's going to be an evening.
When would you ever get this kind of event?
Right.
Like
That's
how
true.
It's such a unique, it's such a special event. I mean, I just can't believe it's happening.
It's true.
Yeah.
So who did you work with? So I know it's directed by Josh Rose and Lee Wilkins, and of course, Stephen Aremus. Who did you all work with when you were putting your pieces together? I know Stephen was like, no, we're going to redo this. This has to be this, and this has to be that. Who did you two work with?
Yeah, well, Josh had specific things that he wanted.
He had thoughts,
he had thoughts that he wanted us to do. Lauren Latero was also really super like key in this whole thing and pulling it together. I mean, they had a full team. We had a production stage manager. Tim Seaman was the stage manager, one of the best on Broadway. So it was like it was a serious production. It was not a joke.
Yeah. But Stephen, we pretty much worked, we worked more one-on-one with Stephen than anybody else.
I worked with Stephen, a lot. And Josh Rhodes and I did Urban Cowboy, and we did our first, Broadway show.
Which is right behind me.
Yeah. Do you see that?
I got you, the Kavanaughs behind me.
Sweet love.
I mean, tell me what it's like working with Stephen. So you worked with Stephen before.
Yes. Stephen and I go way back. We've known each other for many years and have done many concerts and recordings and stuff together. It's his attention to specificity. Like Stephen and Alex Lackmore. These are some of the best musicians, I think, in the world, definitely in our community. Anything that he would ask me to do, I will definitely do, because I know that the product is going to be incredible.
And Chilina, had you worked with Stephen before?
I mean, I know Steve, and I don't think I've actually had the pleasure of working with him before.
No, I don't think you have.
No, I think this is the first time.
But he's a fan of yours.
And I just love him. Like, he's great. We've hung out together before, so it was nice to actually do something, a project with him.
Besides being one of the most talented people in the world, he is also one of the sweetest and has the biggest heart, as does his husband and their beautiful daughter.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're
She's
like
so sweet.
Some of our best friends. Like I've loved those boys for many, many years.
But I love where all these people put their talent into doing something really wonderful. Like you all donating your time to make everybody aware of the vote and everything else. And it still baffles me. 100 million people in the LGBTQ. And did you add A in there?
Yes. LGBT. Sorry.
What are all the initial? Would you explain to people who are watching around the world who may not know what all these initials are?
If I can, right? So there's a lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer. What is I? What is I? It's IA plus. There are the two terms at the end as IA and plus.
Well, I know that some of them cover, like twin spirited, for instance, in the First Nations community.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yes, please do.
Oh, I love that you can do that. You can multitask. You got your fabulous studio, and you can just
look up what you want to know.
Is there any way we can look this up?
The Q is queer.
Yeah.
Yes, we know.
Let's see.
No, but I love that though, because like you said, everybody needs a voice, and there's so many more communities now that everybody has to band together. We should be the United States, not the divided states of America.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Well, and
So-
it's interesting what
sorry.
it's interesting what you said before too, about, you know, about donating our time and getting to this place, because I think this is where, at least for the people that I know, and you know, the people in our community, this is where we aim to get to, is to be able to give back, to have a voice that people listen to be able to create some kind of a change that we're proud of. So I feel, you know, like this is the mark of, you know, what I've been trying to do my whole life, is to be able to, you know, be an activist in a certain way. And this allows us at least to be able to, you know, to create a ripple.
Absolutely.
So I
have it.
Okay.
you have-
For questioning, which I like that it stands for both. Intersex is the I, and asexual or allied.
Oh, I love that.
Totally. But there's pansexual. That's why there's also the plus, right? There are so many different colors in our rainbow, and it continues to grow, which I love.
Yeah.
Isn't that fabulous that the rainbow keeps getting bigger?
It sure is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure is.
And I love parents who have children now. You know, it's like when we were all brought up where I was like, boys play with trucks, girls play with dolls. It's like, I have so many people who have kids. They're like, oh, my son wears a tutu, or my daughter, you know, wants to, you know, build a house or whatever and play with trucks. I just love that everyone has sort of changed their whole thought of how they look at their children, and let them just be and grow into what they want to become.
Totally. I met some parents who had like a 4-year-old, and her name was Jasmine, but they said she hasn't told us what gender she is yet, which I found to be so respectful and lovely, and just to give the child the opportunity to see who they might be feels just like a different world than what we grew up in.
Yeah. You know, so many people were supposed to make their Broadway debuts this spring, and then the pandemic hit. And I hope when the theater comes back bigger and better, they'll be given that opportunity to do that. Debuts are really special. I mean, Jen, you made yours in Urban Cowboy, right?
That's right.
And then Chilina, you made yours in Superstar.
You did.
So I'd love to ask both of you. Jen, you made yours first. So what was it like? Do you take me back to what your Broadway debut was like?
Oh, man. Well, the cool thing was, there were many cool things, but it was a lot of our debuts. There were most of the cast, it was our debuts, quite honestly. So we were all in it together in a way that felt just wide-eyed and extraordinary. Tyler Hanks, Mark Street. There were so many extraordinary people in that cast, and I'm still very, very close to all of them. It just felt like a party. We loved each other so much. I mean, we got to sing and dance and fight and ride a mechanical bull. Like, I started a bar fight by smashing a beer over someone's head. It was the most fun ever. And opening night on Broadway, for me to like be in these boots and jeans and smashing beer bottles, and then to put on a gown and go and party, it was the most exquisite thing. It's everything I'd ever hoped that it would be.
And she'd been a professional comedian before that in LA. So I just think it's so, I always love, you know, hearing her story and having her tell it, because she's got such a wonderful, colorful career, you know, and background. I think it's so brave to go from doing that, or to do that in the first place, and then to just go and pack your bags and you're going to be on Broadway the next day.
See, I've known you forever, and I was just looking through stuff the other day, and I just Googled you again. It said Jenn Colella, American comedian. I was like, boy, do they have this wrong? It should say star. And then I was like, I totally forgot that you started out as a comedian.
Yeah, I was a regular at the Laugh Factory and the Comedy Store in Hollywood.
All right, well, I'm going to ask Chilina first about her debut. Then we're going back to this, because I'm fascinated by this whole story. And I've known you forever.
I'm going to give her another little spot to sit in. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no. Chilina, tell me about your debut, because I was there for yours too. I mean, what a miraculous time. What a fabulous production. What do you remember about your debut in Jesus Christ Superstar?
Well, I just remember how many of us were making our debuts and how grateful we all felt, because it's funny. I'd been spending so much of my career trying to get to Broadway, and it's ironic that it was when I sort of let go and enjoyed my time in Stratford that it was a Stratford production that then went to La Jolla and then to Broadway. And it was most of us, mostly we were Canadians who were making our Broadway debuts. And, Josh Young was in there as well. And it was his debut and Paul Nolan's debut. And, we felt really, really excited. And again, I was trying to remind myself as well, a mantra that I've been telling myself over the years, that the work is the work is the work, no matter whether you do it on a regional stage somewhere for 100 people, or if you do it on Broadway. So, just to for me, it was a matter of not letting the pressure get to me or the expectations, and just continuing to do the best work that I knew how to do and keep everything kind of, retain my perspective.
Did you succeed in doing so?
I think so. I think if you can breathe through your opening night, I think you've done a great job.
Because most people I speak to say, Richard, I remember nothing except for like hyperventilating before the curtain went up, and then I took my bow.
Wow.
I remember my dress. I mean, that was a big deal. Like going to Alice and Olivia and picking up my gown. That felt exciting.
Yeah. The gown part is fun.
Yeah.
The gown part is fun. It's a blast. It's awesome. It's like any of these events. I get so frustrated with actors that are like, oh, so exhausted by the interviews. And I'm like, this is all we've ever wanted.
Thank you.
About what we think and what we say. So be gracious, be respectful, and it's a privilege that people want to hear what we have to say.
I remember too, like thinking if I could get a hold of my 10-year-old or 12-year-old self and say, this is what's happening right now. Just to imagine the look on that little girl's face, that always that gets me through a lot.
That's sweet. That's sweet.
But see, you two still have that. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time too. My glass is always half full. I love what you all do 8 times a week because it's very special. Very few people, except for artists, can do what you all do. And I love what I do. I love this.
I was about to say, I feel the same way about you. Like you are always positive. You always have this much energy. You're always thrilled to see us. I mean, we could have seen you the night before, and you just give us the sense that like you'd rather be nowhere else, and it feels extraordinary.
Well, because we're lucky, because we could be doing so many other things, that we don't like. So many people don't do what they love for a living, and so I think to wake up every morning and feel like, oh wow, we kind of won the lottery. it's important.
Yeah.
Was there something you wanted to do beforehand, and was there a defining moment for each of you when you said, I want to be an actor and try to make a living at this? Was there a defining moment, and what was even before you were a comedian?
I've always known. The comedian part was just kind of like a stepping stone to be. I thought I was in LA, so theater is not as revered in Los Angeles. And so this was more a stepping stone to be more visible within that particular industry. Yeah. So I was looking more sitcom television. And so acting has always been the thing. I've always known that I wanted to be an actor from birth. It's just always been a thing. There's never been any like, maybe I'll be this or that. It's always been that for me.
And for me, I was always very much involved in the activism world when I was younger. So I wanted to be, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to be some kind of environmental or animal activist. And I didn't quite know how to marry that with my passion for the arts. And so I decided, well, I'll do what I guess I'm good at, and then hopefully the other will make itself apparent at some point in my life,
She's being so humble right now. She's classically trained singer.
Oh, I know.
Dancer. She can play so many instruments. She can sing anything.
Well, I was going to go and study opera. That's what I was going to do. I got a scholarship to go to Queen's University and study classical voice, but I decided I didn't want to waste all my dance training and my acting, so I went into musical theater.
Isn't that amazing?
You talked about, the work, because, it doesn't matter where you do it. That's what's missing now with the government has shut all funding out for the arts, and no one realizes this is a major business. This business brings so many jobs and so much money to cities and hotels and restaurants. And they've forgotten that. I don't understand why there's bailouts for all these other people right now. So I really hope the HEROES Act gets passed, and I hope SOS Save Our Stages. But going back to, just work, it doesn't matter if you're performing at a 50-seat theater somewhere in a small town somewhere, you're still entertaining somebody. You're still doing your art for somebody. So take me back to when you were both really, really young. Was there like a little show you did that you were like, wow, like that first time you got your first part in something? It could have been a lead, or it could have been like, you know, I'm, you know, spear holder #1, and you had, wow, I love this.
So many.
Yeah, I remember mine. This was a definitive moment, actually. I sang in choir. I loved being in choir. And I was fourth grade. It was fourth grade, so I was, what, 8 years old? And I got the part of the auctioneer in the musical. I'm sure you've heard of it, the small one about the donkey that takes Mary to Jerusalem. A riveting tale with extraordinary sweeping score. And there was an auctioneer song, and it was, I had to audition for it in class. I remember I was like, $20, give me 20, who's going to give me 20, who's going to be the one? I want to hear a $20 bid, and like memorized it and did it. And so I got the role, and that felt like an honor. And then when I did the show in the cafeteria, they had to give me a box because I was so tiny, as opposed to the monster you see before you now. I used to be very small. And super, super tiny. I had to stand up on a box, and they gave me a microphone, and I remember the length of the microphone, the length of my body, and I just used my big voice for this tiny self. I can remember seeing my mother's face. The whole audience was like, who's this now? I was like, who's this now? Like, I was just infused in that moment with like, yes, I was right. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
The small one. That was the name of the musical.
I love that. Chilina, for you.
Oh gosh, defining moment. Well, you know, I was at Sheridan College, and I auditioned for this Lindsay Summer Theater that was doing rep theater. So there was 4 shows going on, 2 like original Canadian shows. It was like a vaudeville and a melodrama. And I remember, like, I wasn't equity yet, but it was sort of like a hybrid. There was like some equity members and some not, but I booked it, and I was the dance captain. And we had to learn 4 shows in 4 weeks, and like 87 numbers, and I had to know all the parts, and it was insane. But just the fact that I got a job and I could save money, and I actually afforded myself like a trip that year, I think a winter trip somewhere based on the money that I'd made as an artist. And I thought, oh man, like I nailed it. This is it. I think I made like $400 a week or something, or $475 a week, but it was phenomenal. I mean, except for I almost got killed by a set piece, because all those of us who were not union, we had to move the set. So that was a little scary, but.
Do you remember the show? Do you remember the show you were doing with the set piece?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think it might have been Little Shop of Horrors. It was hilarious because, you know, it was like pretty much great casting all throughout. It had to be like 10 of us who had to be in 4 shows, and we all had to play different instruments because we had to be bands. I played the piano. So I was, you know, playing bluegrass in one show, and then I was like, you know, Little Shop of Horrors, Ronette in the other one, and then like melodrama. It was crazy.
I like that you were a Ronette.
I know, that was, well...
This was in Canada.
Yeah, in Canada, in a small town.
You forget how much creativity you can put into your head, like those summer stock years or whatever else. And people say, we did, like you said, 4 shows in 4 weeks, or I did 12 shows during a summer. But you just put it all in there. You can do them all. And you're like, I made $75, but it was $75 as an artist.
Well, you run on coffee and passion. Like, that's all there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put me in, coach.
I remember one summer of summer rep, I played Peter Pan and Val and a chorus line. So Val is TNA girl. So one night I was jacking them up, and then the next night I'd be strapping them down. I remember 2 little girls, they could have been more than 10 years old, came up to me. I would come out as Peter Pan and fairy dust and tell them to be very careful with it. And these 2 little girls came up to me, and I was like, hello, did you enjoy the show? And they're like, we saw you last night, tits. And I was like, okay, bye-bye.
That is hysterical. That's a chapter for your book, just so you know.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I have to talk about 2 of your other shows. I mean, Come From Away, Jen, was one of these things that we didn't know what it was going to be. I remember when the front of house first went up for Come From Away, and I was like, oh my gosh, what a fascinating, because, you know, there were all these like writings about it all. There were all these pictures of you from the magazine spread that the show had done. And I said, what a fascinating story, but no one knew what Come From Away was going to be. And I hadn't met Irene or David yet. And it was like, what an incredible journey you were all on with that. What does that show and that role mean to you?
It's changed my life. I mean, first of all, Canada's changed my life for many, many reasons. But that show is exactly what Chilina was talking about earlier, like what we hope to do as artists. You want to be a part of something that feels like you're able to give back. And this wasn't just entertainment, right? Yeah. Not only was it a story about kindness, it's a true story about kindness. And the storytelling is told in ensemble fashion, which is even more delicious. So it's not like one person standing out. Everybody has their moments and we're all doing it together. And it's the old school storytelling, like 12 chairs and 2 tables. And we get to just become all these different characters and do it, you know, with each other and tell a true story about kindness for a situation that most people only have a terrible memory of. It's just this perfect storm of everything that I've ever wanted to be a part of. So it has changed my life profoundly, not only as an artist, but certainly as a person.
I got to tell you too, I was there in one of the first previews and I've never seen such a rousing applause for an ensemble. Like the humility that surrounds the show is astonishing. And this group of stars, you know, walks onto the stage, especially, I mean, this one, I was like, who's that? You know, and they walk on and people just, you know, and everyone was so, the grace in the production, the humility in the writing and the way, the care that they take with the storytelling. I just think it's so beautiful. And I think they were also wonderful in it.
But, you know, you talk about a company. I mean, I went to a lot of those parties that, you know, were thrown where I got to kiss the fish and drink that awful stuff.
Screeched in. We got screeched in.
I have my, what do you call it? I have it somewhere in the bedroom. I have it framed. I have my certificate. I was like, am I going to do this? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. But just the melding of the cast and the fans that you met and all the wonderful people during that show. It was amazing just to watch you interact with the fans.
I love them. I'm still, that's another bonus actually of this time of COVID, is that I get to interact with fans a lot. I'm on Cameo, which has been an extraordinary place for me to stay connected to a lot of fans, and it feels wonderful. They're, you know, very often we get to meet them at the stage door and we only have a few moments because you want to make sure everybody has time. But because now we have platforms and time where we can hang out with fans and spend time with them and sing songs for them, it's been, I really have enjoyed that. And most of my fans for sure, found out about me or know of me through Come From Away, which feels extraordinarily wonderful. Again, my message of kindness that I try to share, that's what the show is about. So it really, really fits for me.
But you've always shared kindness. From the very first day I met you, from Urban Cowboy and everything forward, you've always done that. Thanks,
buddy. You too. It's a practice, right?
Yeah, we do it, but it's easy to do, right?
Yes. Yeah. You just got to be in the practice of it. That's all.
And Chilina, beautiful, the Carole King musical. I mean, I watched you. I used to go to that a lot to watch you do that and just arrive on that piano and just, I knew you from Superstar, but it's like you just channel yourself. You become these other people. It's so interesting to watch performers morph into somebody else. And you have done that so beautifully, pardon the pun. What was it like taking on the role of Carole King and just the joy that must have brought you?
Well, it was very joyful. She's a real glass half full, positive person. And I've been a huge fan of hers for years without actually knowing that I was such a huge fan, because, you know, I loved all of her songs. I didn't realize that she wrote so many of them. So I think, you know, to me, that was, I remember like getting the job and thinking, oh gosh, if I get to meet her, that will be phenomenal. And not only did I get to meet her a bunch of times, I got to like work with her. She's so down to earth and taught me a lot of great life lessons through her story in the musical, but also just through talking to her, you know, in the times that we got a chance to hang out. You know, there's also a lot of pressure because, of course, you know, the world loves Carole King. You know, she's an icon. Also, you know, Jessie Mueller taking over for her. I loved her in the show. So I thought, okay, well, what Jessie did so beautifully was she let Carole live through her. And so I thought, well, my job is simply to let this character reverberate as truthfully as possible through me. And it was an honor and a privilege, honestly.
You were astounding.
Thank you. I love that show.
Absolutely breathtakingly inimitable. You'll
you.
never see a performance like that ever again. I thought you were incredible. That's
I like that review. That's a headline review. No, seriously, I feel exactly the same way on that. And you used to go in and out of the show, which must have been fascinating.
Well, I was grateful to the producers for allowing me the flexibility, because I think I did over 1,200 performances, and people have done that before, and it can be it's tough. Like you did 1,200 performances, and and I think that especially with a role like Carol, like you're on stage most of the show, it's pretty all encompassing. And so they would allow me these breaks to go and get refreshed and to do another show. I did the Say No Disco. I went off and did something else, and came back to it. And
did you see that, Richie? Did you see the Say No Disco? Did you catch it?
I saw her afterwards. I was obsessed with that musical.
It was so fun.
And obsessed with that character. Where did that one come from?
Well, you're being very kind.
Honestly.
It was lovely. It was also fun to do something like very different than what I'd been doing with Beautiful.
I hope that show comes back, because we hung out afterwards that night. I brought Mark William with me. I loved that show. I was obsessed with that musical, and I was like,
Yeah, I know.
You never was it recorded?
No, it never was, and they wanted it to be, but it never happened. But maybe let's I hope it happens.
We'll just put it out there to the fans watching around the world at BroadwayWorld. Get that recorded.
Yes.
I was going to ask you, what do you hope audiences take away from Sunday with Divas for Democracy? What do you hope they walk away with?
Well, aside from the obvious, I hope that it inspires them to vote, to
register to vote, to get out and vote, to speak their voice. I hope it also encourages people to speak their voice just in the world. Like I want this queer community to feel like they have a voice, and that they don't have to be afraid, and we don't have to just move over to the edges anymore and make room for everyone else. Like that's what drag queens do so beautifully, right? They are loud and beautiful and colorful, and they're not afraid, and they just are who they are. And I think that we can learn so much from that kind of spirit. And so I'm hoping people have a blast. I'm hoping, like you said, they feel galvanized and mobilized to go out there and vote and do the right thing. And I also hope that it encourages them to speak up in their own lives.
No, because just beside the people who are performing, there are so many other people who are dropping by to do so many other things. I mean, there are so many names on here. We're going to throw a few of these out here. Cyndi Lauper, Michelle Visage, Harvey Fierstein, James Monroe Iglehart, Bianca Del Rio. I mean, Cheyenne Jackson, Andrew Reynolds, Brendan Jordan, there's Allison Janney. Just looking at the people in that little promo, I had goosebumps just watching that.
And honestly, it's all because if Stephen O'Remus knows all of these people and knows them intimately, and any of us would drop anything at any time to do anything that he's doing and to do something that's so important. He really is one of the best artists that I know, and it's going to be an evening to remember. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I also hope people feel re-inspired about the arts. Especially in this time when our community is suffering so much. I hope that people remember that, arts touch everyone's lives profoundly, I think, whether we realize it or not, and that we really need our arts. We need it back. And so I think a lot can be done during this time. I think people are being very, they're dealing with it very well. And I think that they're creating opportunities. So I hope people feel inspired.
I love that. You both mentioned 1,200 performances. You both entered that club of like Yul Brynner in The King and I, Carol Channing in Hello Dolly, Jenn Colella in Come From Away, Chilina Kennedy in Beautiful. That's a big undertaking.
It's not a joke. Yeah, for sure. That's a lot of times. That's a lot of times to do them.
Well, this has been so great catching up with the two of you. You both look absolutely sensational.
Oh, thank you.
Likewise, always. You don't age a day.
No.
I don't know how you look the same after all these years.
It's the lighting. It's the lighting.
Yeah.
Lighting. Yeah, we have some lighting too.
You've got that lighting down, just so you know. Well, again, the concert is this Sunday night, October 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is called Divas for Democracy. United We Slay, where the Divas of Broadway join forces with the Divas of Drag. And tickets are available at divasfordemocracy.com. They are $5. That's all you have to donate to this. $5 or anything else you want to donate, of course.
That's
but
right.
We're all going to be there Sunday night. Like I said, everyone watching, stay safe, wear a mask, wash your hands, and vote more than anything.
Vote. Sending love to everybody. Love, love, love.
Love you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, love.